I'm going to take a wild guess and say that's probably not how you saw the 2012 Stewardship Campaign opening up. You know, the reality is we are in some of the most difficult economic and financial times in U.S. and world history. The U.S. stock market rises and falls not based on the fundamentals of the companies that it represents, but based on variables that are out of all of our control. The real estate market across the U.S. is down 15% on average. And in the last 18 months, 230 financial institutions have collapsed and disappeared. So where as Americans, or where as Christian Americans, do we invest our money? The three areas I just talked about were where we typically have done that. What is the best investment for the best return? Well, I thought a good place to start would be the Bible. And let's ask God. And God says in Matthew 6:19 through 20, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moss and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal, but store up yourselves treasures in heaven." And I think what God is saying here is invest in something that matters. Invest in something that is eternal. The kingdom of God, or in our example, through the Stewardship Campaign, the house of God. Well, here at Advent, our house is Advent Presbyterian Church. So how good are we doing at being financially responsible and taking the tithes and offerings that you give? How good of a job are we doing managing that? Well, let's take a dive into that. Spending has been kept under our expenses for several years. Income statement. On the balance sheet, we're debt-free. Not many people, organizations, companies, or countries can make that statement. And how about financial oversight? How are we doing in making sure that we have good controls in place? Well, I did a little investigating on that. And when our third-party CPAs come in to audit our books every year, they could not find hardly any areas that we can improve on in managing the money that you are giving through your blessings from God. So what are we doing with the money here at Advent? How are we investing it to have an eternal impact on the world? Well, over the next 4 Sundays, we're going to take a really deep dive into 4 areas that represent our budget after operational expenses. The first area is community outreach. About 19% of our budget goes there. Our CLC, our Parents' Day Out program, our sports for the youth, all the things that draw the community into our church so they will have access to us and our message from God. The second area is Christian education. About 34% of our budget goes towards that. Everything from Vacation Bible School to senior adults programs. One of the most important areas in bringing people along in their relationship with the Lord. The third area is worship. Our 4 services, our different programs that reach out and bring people in and teach them how to be close to God through programs and through music. And our fourth area is missions. Our 10 local missions and our 9 international missions. This is how we're investing your money that you get from God. This is what we're doing with it. I want to close by giving you an example of a great investment. Back in the early 30s, I guess he was a young man at that time, decided to close up his business and to spend time evangelizing in the South. He would have a tent service for a week at a time in any location. But this night, he happened to be in a small town in North Carolina where a young boy came and heard the mission and the call to become a Christian. A group of people funded his ministry through their tithes and offerings, which found a young man and brought him to know Christ, which had an unbelievable return on the entire world. That young man's name was Billy Graham. And as you can see, 3.2 million people have accepted the invitation for Christ. And as of 2008, almost 2.8 billion people have heard him on radio and television. Now, I don't know if our investment's going to find the next Billy Graham. I can't tell you that. But I know anything is possible in God's world. And in order to even have an opportunity to do that, you have to give and you have to invest in something that's eternal. I ask you to prayerfully consider what you're going to give in the 2012 campaign. Listen to the different areas that we're impacting. Listen to the stories. Listen to the number of people. This is your church, and we are having an eternal impact for God. Thank you.